Hey, we're cooking with gas here on the Jewcast.
Okay, careful using a phrase like that.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries, of a sham.
Tradition!
Oh, shut up, Carl! Shut your goddamn Jew mouth! You people are why there's war in the Middle East!
Gekakken af een jam.
Nebbig.
Ver poepoepoe.
Vermischt.
Verkakt.
Vertutst.
Verstonken.
Fartig.
Exactly.
You're what Grammy Hall would call a real Jew.
Oh yeah, here we go. Episode 37.
Chegg Shamea, everybody.
Yeah, another Jew-packed episode. All Sukkot now.
All Sukkot now, I think, is more appropriate, Jordon.
Yes. Happy Sukkot.
Yes, the Festival of Tabernacle.
Yeah, the Festival of Huts and Tabernacle.
Well, I guess this holiday, from what I understand, it has two meanings. It has like an agricultural significance and it has a historical significance.
Okay. It's like the Jewish Thanksgiving, right?
It kind of is the Jewish Thanksgiving. We are thanking God for a great harvest.
Right.
And then we have the Sukkot, which is like the little shack that, we're supposed to eat in and like shake the lulav and etrog, which I guess we'll talk about a little bit later. The shack, and I guess it's supposed to represent one, that when we were traveling 40 years in the desert out of Israel, this is a historical significance. They would make flimsy little huts to stay in, to live in, or whatever, on their way. So that Sukkot's supposed to represent that. And then apparently also at the end of the harvest, the last couple parts of the harvest, they would live in a little shack like that, I guess, on the field or something.
On the field. This is as they're wandering through the desert, right?
No, these are separate times.
Separate times.
The field stuff came after, like, when the Jews were already in Israel, and this is one of the pilgrimage holidays, I guess, where you're supposed to, like, go to the Holy Temple, the Beis HaMikdash.
Okay.
So it's one of those, so I guess they would harvest the food at the end, the fruits vegetables, whatever they were harvesting in the land of Israel, milk and honey, and they would bring it, some of it, I guess, into the temple, whatever.
Okay.
So those are like the two significance of the temple, of the little Sukkot, of, that you build, that there are Jews like in Washington Square Park or Union Square right now trying to get you to come in and shake the lulav and etrog or whatever.
Yeah.
And, this holiday is more of like a joyous holiday after Yom Kippur.
Well, that's good to have something. It's good to have something happy after Yom Kippur. That's for sure.
Well, this is it. We atoned for our sins, and now we're thanking God for, all He's given us with the harvest.
And it is one of the holidays that the Lubavitch Jews go out in full force looking for other Jews to do.
Yes, this is a mitzvah, to shake the lulav and etrog. And it's a mitzvah that I guess it's a mitzvah to help other Jews do it as well, so they really want to get those mitzvahs going. So, for those who don't know what a lulav and etrog is, it is this thing that it's two separate things that the Jews put together and they shake it up in the air, down, like left, right. They do some shaking and they say a blessing. And I guess the etrog is like a fruit from like a citron tree.
Okay.
And I guess it's something about like that it's supposed to have four plants. I guess to it's supposed to represent four different plants. Then the lulav, which is kind of like the spine, it's like a closed frond from a date palm tree.
Okay.
And then it also has on the sides, you put some myrtle on one side and some willow on the other side. And it's supposed to like look good. Like Jews will pay like a fuck ton of money to like get like the best looking etrog or the straightest lulav, because that's part of, I guess, the mitzvah, like for them to be like nice and fancy, not just like the shittiest myrtle you can find. I was trying to figure out why we do these, why these different things are used, why we're shaking them, why they decided that these are the things that we should shake for like our service to God or whatever. And I guess I read that there are two different explanations. One explanation is that they represent parts of the human body, like the spine, the eye, the mouth, the heart. And, by bringing them together, you're doing a mitzvah, and it shows that, like, you're in service to God or whatever. You're thankful for, I guess, having all that stuff. the body that God gave us. And then I guess there's this other thing that it symbolizes the 4 types of Jews. That the lulav, the spine of the palm tree, it has no taste. Oh, excuse me, it has a taste but no smell.
Huh.
And that symbolizes the people who study the Torah but don't possess good deeds.
Okay.
All right? And then there's the myrtle, which has a good smell but no taste, symbolizing those who possess good deeds but do not study the Torah. And then there is the willow from the willow tree, which has neither taste nor smell, symbolizing those who lack both Torah and good deeds.
Okay.
Jordan. And then the etrog, which has a good taste and a good smell, symbolizing those who have good deeds and the Torah. Yay for the etrog!
I don't know.
I remember having these as a kid and doing this.
Oh, really? Which one?
Yeah, like having a special like little box to put the etrog in, and it had like this little thing on top, like a little weird stem, and like you couldn't, like if it broke off, like you couldn't use it anymore.
Uh-oh. You don't want to be using any flaccid etrogs.
No, definitely don't want to use flaccid etrogs. And so this holiday ends with Simchat Torah, a big celebration, where Jews notoriously like get wasted. I actually think the first time I ever got drunk was at a Simchat Torah party.
Okay.
Shout out to the Minkowitzes. I was at their party and I got trashed. I was sick, lying. It was ugly.
Well, so you overdid it on the Sukkot.
On Simchat Torah, the last day when you're supposed to like be celebrating and be happiest or whatever. And I used to actually, I went to summer camp. I went to a Jewish summer camp. I had a lot of Jewish friends that lived in New York. I came to New York a couple times for Simchat Torah it was a thing in like the 5 towns. Like a lot of Jews would all go there and like we'd all party, and like I did that a couple times.
It is one of the bigger drinking holidays for the Jews. Besides Passover, this is the one where you're allowed to go and drink with your friends.
Yeah, this one's more like celebratory.
And you
know?
dance.
Like I think the 4 glasses of Passover, they mean something. This one is like, let's party, let's dance, let's sing. I actually remember that I went to a friend of mine's place that I was really good friends with at summer camp, and he had a bunch of people come, stay at his house, and his parents were like freaked out by the way we were dressing. And then his parents found like a bunch of weed, and he blamed it on me since I was like from Florida and like I wasn't like gonna like be there long. He's like, "Oh, it's Jonathan's," and basically everything that went wrong that weekend he blamed on me. And his parents thought I was like the worst person, when the truth was he was the guy that like introduced me to marijuana for the first time. Like he was the bad influence on me, and his parents just felt so that like I saw that like they looked at me, they're just like, this fucking poor kid and his family, and I was like, ugh.
They threw you right under the bus, huh?
They did throw me. Well, he threw me under the bus. The friend, yeah. And then he was supposed to meet me one time because like there was a girl that I was obsessed with from Camp Raleigh. That I love this girl so much, and she was there visiting her friend, so I went to go see her when the rest of my crew was hanging out, and then they were supposed to meet me because like I didn't know how to get back to this guy's house, and they like decided not to show up. And when they went back to the house, they're like, the parents are like, "Where's Jonathan?" They're like, "Oh, he didn't show up." Like I can't believe those are my friends.
They threw you under the bus, and it was not the mitzvah mobile.
What a bunch of dicks.
Well, it's funny. I think we talked about this a few times about the Lubavitch Jews that run around looking for other Jews. I've often talked.
They usually do the tefillin. They want you to put on tefillin.
Right. Well, so for people that don't
light the menorah.
For people that don't know what those Jews do, they believe that the Messiah will return only when enough Jewish mitzvahs have been performed, when enough Jewish good deeds have been performed. So they drive around and they look for other Jews to help them perform these Jewish mitzvahs. How many mitzvahs? There's a lot, right? Is that what the countdown clock in Union Square is about? Yeah, maybe. It's not about that. No, but it could. That's an interesting theory, I would guess. But you don't see them driving around looking for people that actually need assistance with something. Like you don't see those Lubavitch Jews pulling up like, "I'd like to do a mitzvah for you. Do you need help changing a tire?" Right. I hear that. Like pulling over, helping old ladies cross the road. No, they only want to do like these specific mitzvahs. I guess where it's like
it's a mitzvah for them to do that. Even though I would think it's a mitzvah to help somebody with a car.
But I can get behind some of this stuff in this holiday. You know, you want to get me drunk, and that's a mitzvah. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, that's the last day of Simchat Torah. That's what you want? If they were in Union Square or whatever, Washington Square Park, like handing out some Manischewitz, being like, come on, let's get wasted.
Yeah,
You'd be more down.
I'm in. You get me drunk.
Okay.
I'm a lot more willing to do tefillin.
You're supposed to drink in the sukkah. You're supposed to eat in the sukkah. Some people even sleep in the sukkah for the whole holiday.
Really?
Yeah, and it's supposed to be covered with like plants that aren't still attached to the earth, and you're supposed to decorate it with like different fruits or vegetables from the harvest or something like that, and artwork or whatever. So, on Simchat Torah, know what else we do, Jordan?
What else do we do?
We finish the cycle of the Torah. The last parsha, the last Torah reading of the Bible happens.
Oh, really?
Moses dies. Yes, on Simchat Torah, we're going to read that. We read a bunch of different Torah portions, throughout Sukkot. But the last one we read is with Moses dying, he's blessing the 12 tribes of Israel, similar to when Jacob blessed his 12 sons, and he's going up onto a mountain, and he's seeing all of Israel, and he dies, and nobody knows where he's buried, and since then he was the last prophet or whatever to see God's face, or to see God.
Well, he asks God to show him to himself, right? He tells God, I want to see what you look like. He's like, can you... It's basically, he's like, can you verify who you are?
I know, after all this time, because wasn't that like a week ago we talked about that, or 2 weeks ago or something?
Yeah, something like that. It's the lead up to him dying, and he says...
finally he dies. I don't understand what we were thinking, where we kept thinking he was going to die. Obviously, he dies the last part of the thing. He dies.
Right.
And then next week we're going to start with Genesis, and I guess you also read a little bit of the first part of Genesis, in the God created, on the seventh day he rested, whatever.
They're really dragging his death out. I mean, it is... We always joke about the Jewish goodbye takes forever. This is taking forever.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't think of that. That's a good one, Jordon.
Right? I mean, I always the old joke, the difference between the Irish goodbye, the Irish Catholic goodbye, and the Jewish goodbye. The Irish Catholic doesn't even say goodbye; he just leaves. The Jew says goodbye for a half an hour, doesn't actually ever leave.
Jews do have a hard time with goodbyes.
Yeah, so that makes sense that Moses' death is taking a goddamn long time. So this week's Torah portion is the part where Moses dies.
Well, we're not reading that on Saturday. We're reading that on Simchat Torah. When Simchat Torah means rejoicing of the Torah, I guess. I don't know, celebrating the Torah, and it's because we conclude and begin anew the annual Torah reading cycle.
Well, I also think, we're trying to do our best to distract ourselves from the fact that Moses is dying right in front of us.
Yeah, he goes up to the mountain and he dies by himself.
He pulls like a Luke Skywalker at the end of The Last Jedi. Just disappears, leaves his robe behind.
And why doesn't he have a burial place? What's up with that? He deserves it. He should have a place that he's buried that Jews go to every year. That's where the new pilgrimage should be, because the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed. They should go to Moses' grave and be like, shout out to Moses, man. Seriously, Moses got robbed. He didn't even get to go into the land of Israel. He did all of God's bidding, and then the Torah ends by saying that that no one else knew the face of God, and in the mighty hand and the great awesome things which Moses did before the eyes of Israel. So Moses did some great stuff, man. Splitting the sea, bringing the plagues, leading the Jews, dealing with their whining, their bitching.
He did a lot, and to be sort of cast aside by God at the end like that is kind of disrespectful. Especially at the end. I mean, if he's going to die, why do you have to just not even... You're going to focus on everybody getting drunk and celebrating the harvest while Moses is just sitting by himself?
I guess. That's the end of the Torah, I guess,
I didn't realize Moses was such a tragic figure.
It is a little sad, right?
Yeah.
But, he did some good stuff, Moses. Moses is one of the most popular Jews, right?
He's definitely one of the most popular Jews.
Top 3, you think?
Right? I think, who are the other two? Steven Spielberg.
No, I was thinking more like Abraham, the first Jew. Or
Well, cool. I think we did a pretty good job explaining this.
people don't know a lot about it. The Hud holiday, I feel like, but it kind of is an important holiday. We're celebrating the harvest. We're starting kind of a new cycle of the year.
I think maybe people get confused about the meaning behind it because we get so drunk at the end of it, right? I could totally see that. Like, what was this holiday about? I don't know. Get me an aspirin. I'm hungover. Too hungover to explain Sukkot.
It doesn't like commemorate. You know, it has these different meanings that we talked about. Whether it's us being 40 years in the desert or the thing, but it doesn't have such a significance of where like the Jews had to like overcome something or
Right. Just
I guess it's like the other ones, Passover, Hanukkah, Purim, they're more about like the Jews like being like someone trying to kill the Jews, oppress the Jews, and we overcoming,
Right.
And then, Rosh Hashanah, we're starting the new year. Yom Kippur, we're atoning for our sins. And Sukkot, we're just kind of like, yay, God, harvest, whatever.
I guess it's sort of like, when bad things happen, when we overcome them, it's God giving us the power to do so. And when good things happen, it's like, all right, well, God just did that for you.
No matter what, God's involved, and he's always the good guy, even when he's the bad guy.
Yeah. Thank God for not killing you, and also thank God for just, the sunshine.
Yeah. Thank God for everything.
Yeah. Well,
thank
cool.
God for this podcast, and thank God for everybody who's listening, even though I don't particularly believe in God. I mean, maybe there's something greater, an energy or whatever, but I don't think, this kind of, like how we're talking about God right now, I don't think I don't believe in the dick God, the prick God.
Right. Well, if there was a God, he would have smited us at least 17 episodes ago.
I mean, maybe this is why our podcast isn't very popular.
Well, I think that...
But hey, help us make it more popular. Follow us on Instagram, @American Jew Podcast. On Twitter, @American Jew Pod. Check out our Facebook page, American Jew Podcast. Check me out on Instagram, @Jonathan Randall.
You could always...
Email us, AmericanJewPodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Give us 5 stars and a good review. It's a mitzvah. Don't make us get the Lubavitch people to have you do it.
Yeah, we're going to send the mitzvah tank to your place, if we have to. Well, thank you guys for listening. We're gonna be here next time to start it over again.
Yeah, I hope everybody has a good Sukkot.
Yep, and
enjoy the shacks.
L'chaim, cheers.
I will be eating at Shake Shack if that counts.
Okay, sounds kosher.